In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to submit a form using the cron command line tool. There's also libcron, which can be a library used as an extension for other scripting languages, for example, such as PHP. That's one we're going to use today. Okay, so before I begin, I just want to let you know that every day I'm hosting a live stream. You can visit ojambo.com for details. You scroll down, you go to the watch menu, then the live sub menu. You can see it will show you the current one. That's one live right now, and the approximate date and time on the channel. And then the one which will be the upcoming ones, you see this approximate date and time. And right at the beginning of each of those articles, you will see there will be a little snippet here to tell you the exact date and time, which is Eastern time. And it says that you can ask questions, anything about programming or lifestyle topics. And of course, if you click on this link here, that's where it will take you to the channel page, where if you log in, you'll be able to ask questions in real time. If you're not able to do that, you can scroll down and where the video is, and you can just watch the embedded video. I'll show that to you in a second as we go through this. So basically a form on a page, it has a form tag and has a bunch of fields, and usually there's a button. You click on it, and whether it's using Ajax or something else, usually it needs some user intervention to send the form or form data. So you can also send forms automatically using command line tool. Like in this case, we're going to use curl, and then you can also submit the web data. Now, the reason I'm showing you this is not so that you can go and hack forms on it. That's not it. The reason is, for example, if you work by yourself, you're a programmer like I am, a developer, is sometimes you need to do some tests. And for example, if you have a very big form, even a short form, it's kind of annoying to test things. So you could basically write your own test suite, and then you could submit automatically without having to ask so many people to test for you. So now, the good thing about using cron is that there are several methods for form or HTTP methods. So for example, there's a get, there's post, there's put, or delete. So put and delete are usually used for something like JSON data. So I'm not going to talk about that too much. But get and post, those are the most common ones. The get one is the ones, in your URL to have like a question mark, and then it will say like name equals Edward, age equals whatever. So that's usually get. And post is the one that will be submitted, but it won't be in the URL. Okay, so basically the focus of this tutorial is going to be create a form, just an HTML form, and then I'll also have a form handler. The form handler is optional, but I want to have the form handler just to show, because I need a way to test that the form was successfully submitted. And then you can pick whatever command line scripting language you want to use. You can use Bash or PHP or Python, anything you want to use. In this case, I'm just going to use just the command line tool and PHP. And then you can create the script to fill in the forms and submit to the destination. And you can, so obviously for this tutorial, I'm going to run the scripts manually, but you can also set up a cron job. And I do have an example to show you how to set up cron jobs. I think maybe I'll do a tutorial on cron jobs later in the future. So basically for the form, you have the URL, that's obviously the destination. That's uniform resource locator, the web address on the internet. And then you have the method. Specifies the method for form submission. So what this means is, as I just gave you an example up here, is that could be the get, post, put, or delete. And then you have the HTML action. This is the specified place where the data will be sent. So this is basically the destination. That's all that is. Okay, so in order to follow along for this tutorial, you need some tools. You need some type of text editor. It could be a command line or not. So I'm going to use Apache NetBeans, but you can use another ID which I reviewed recently, which is Guinea. Any text editor will be fine. And obviously, if you're going to do in a command line, most of you probably have maybe a remote access, so you probably need some SSH. I recommend using secure shell client like OpenSSH or something like that. And the shell access, this just means the command line, the terminal. So for example, if you're on a desktop that's Mac OS, Linux, or Unix type systems or Windows, you can follow along on the command line. The only thing you need is obviously PHP, because PHP also has a built-in web server, so you can use it. But I'm saying is you don't necessarily need to use PHP, but if you want to follow this particular tutorial, yes, PHP, which you can download and install. I'll give instructions later. Here's the code snippets. I'm not going to do the cron job, but here's an example. I'll explain this. So this one, you see this runs at midnight on the 1st and the 15th of every month. So that's 0. That means the time. So that's 00. And 0 here means at midnight. And this one, 1, that means the day. So if you see there's a comma, that means it'll be the 1st of the month and the 15th of the month. And this basically means every day, every week, every year. That's basically what that means. Okay, so again, we're going to submit the form data using the crawl command. We're going to check the output for successful submission. That's said that we need some type of form handler. And then the pseudocode is simply to loop for multiple submissions if desired. And then the code for finding forms and parsing was not provided in this tutorial. If you want me to do that, I can do it in a future tutorial. Just let me know. And testing form permissions can be done using the crawl easily if the form fields are known. So that's basically the focus of this tutorial. And here's some screenshots on how this, and as I promised, this is the video that shows the, for example, this is the live stream. So for example, if I click here, future tutorial, just yeah, you see it actually plays the live stream. So this way, if you don't want to, for example, this is on YouTube. If you don't want to go to YouTube, you can simply just watch it here, or any other channel that I might be live streaming in the future. All right, so as I said, you can download crawl. See, there's also a library called libcrawl, so I'll open that up, and obviously PHP, you download from php.net. So let's go check those out quickly. So as you can see here, this is a curl. It's a command line tool and library. The library is called libcrawl, as right here. So it's libcrawl. So you can read about here. So it always the ones we care about is HTTP for this particular tutorial. So it has get, post, put, and head. So it looks like it doesn't have delete, but I'm sure you can work it to do delete. So that's all. See, curl can do multiple things, a lot of other things here. All we care about is just the HTTP get, post for this tutorial. And then PHP, this is a general purpose scripting language. So you can download the latest one, which looks like at the time of this recording is 8.4.6. All right, so with that out of the way, let's head over and let's get started on the coding part of this tutorial. Okay, so I am going to have a folder here. And so I need to create 3 files. So I need an HTML file, I need some PHP file to handle the form, and I'll create another PHP file later. So what I'll do is I'll just create those files right now. Oops. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay, perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create, first of all, I'm going to create a form. And then I'm also going to create a PHP file to handle that form. So I'll just call it the same way like that. And then I need one to, this will be just to submit. And is there anything else I need? I think that's all I need. So basically this form.html, this is just going to be an HTML page. The form.php, this will be the form handler for the form, and this one will be the PHP code to submit the submit the form. Okay, so let's so what I'll do is we'll come back to command line later. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use NetBeans as I promised. So let me open up NetBeans. You can use any text editor. This is just a simple form. It's an HTML form. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll put NetBeans here. Actually, all these files need to be, so I'll just grab this and just dump them in here to NetBeans. Okay, so we start with the form.html. I'll zoom in here. so you guys can see what I'm doing. So this is just a, oh, that's too big probably. Okay, so first of all, we need a doc type. Okay, HTML, and then in the head section, I just give a title here. So I'll call it form. Okay, then in the body section. Okay, so just create a form here. So we have an action. So the action is going to go to the form.php. And then the method, I'll set it to post. Okay, so then here we need just an input, some type of input. So type, make this a text. Make the name, and I'll give it a placeholder. So this way I don't have to have a label. Enter your name. Okay, that's good. I'll put another input. This time it's going to be a number. And then give it a name, the age. You give it a placeholder. And we'll say enter your age. Okay. Then finally, I'll create another input. This will just be the submit. Okay, and it needs a value, so I'll call it submit. Okay, so that's it for our form. See, very simple form. It just has an input for the name, an input, two fields, name and age, and this one is just a button for this to submit. Okay, so next we'll go to our form.php. This is the form handler. Let me zoom in here. So this is very simple. So give a PHP tag. You don't need to put closing PHPs, but I'll put one there anyway. It's not necessary anymore, but it's a good idea to have it. Oops. Okay, there we go. So in here, very, very simple. If is not empty, post name and isn't empty, post age. Okay, now as I said before, make sure you do some sanitization and validation. Okay, I'm not going to do that because obviously this form is only for me, just for this tutorial. So then what I'll do, I'll just echo JSON encode and then status. Okay, right, and then just put a die here. The reason I'm doing this is because when you have a if you're going to have an output of JSON, just an encoded one, you don't want to leave spaces, because sometimes if your handler, for example, is JavaScript, it get confused because it doesn't expect any space. So we don't want anything. So that I could have probably put it here as well, but this is fine because this way, if let's say one of this is empty, obviously I could have put an else here, but I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to leave it as is and just a die. Okay, so that's our form handler. Now we'll come back and do this submit PHP. We have enough information now that we can go on to the command line. So we'll go back to the command line. So I'll just minimize this. So now that we have these two working, we can actually open this up in a web browser, but not yet because since I'm having a PHP handler, I do need to have a PHP server. So that's what I'll do. I'll open up a PHP server here. So I'll say PHP s localhost, and I'll say 8000. Okay, so it's going to be running the PHP server. This is the PHP has a built-in web server. So you see, I can open up a web server here at localhost 8000. That's what I'm going to do. So simply copy this. Now, in case you're wondering why I just click this to open, because this is going to open up in a different web browser, but I have a specific web browser I want to use, which is this one here. So what I'll do is I'll go here and I'll click that 8000. Now, I should probably have made that on index.html, but that's fine. So if I go here and I say form.html, see I have my form here. I'm going to zoom in. So if I actually submit something here, so if let's say I say Edward and say, I don't know, 23, hit submit, you see it status okay. So I know the form is working properly. And for example, if I go here, you see it connected properly, it's 200 accepted. So I know it's working well. Okay, so now what I want to do is, you see, this is what I did here was manual, meaning that I had to click here manually to hit submit. However, I don't need to do it that way because I can do it from the command line. Now, because PHP is running here, I'm just going to open up a new tab here, and I'll say, oops, I'll clear here. So we're still in the same folder. See, proof we're still in the same folder. I don't need this anymore, so let me minimize that. So these are the still files here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm also going to I'm going to use a curl command on the command line to submit this form. So if you remember, we have this field which is name and this one which is age. So you need to know which one you need to know the fields in the form and obviously the action where it's going. I know it's going here. Okay, so you type curl and the destination, which will be HTTP localhost, and the port number is 8000, and then X, that means with the post type. So it's post, and I'm going to pass in data raw. So I think I used name. So name equals Edward. Here, I'll just say Ed, short version, Ed. And where's the end? Age equals, I'll use a different age this time. I'll say 33. Okay. Now if I press enter, so you see what happened? It says it wasn't found. So localhost 8000, the post, it wasn't found. So something is wrong. It's not finding my the localhost here, and I know it's working because you see it says not found. Now, I'm sure some of you guys have clear. So the problem is here. It's not localhost. It's localhost / if you remember form.php. Now if I run this, you see it says status okay. So I've been able to successfully submit this data using the curl command right on the command line. So you put the URL and the type is post, and then the data, the name, this is the fields. Name equals age, name equals Ed, and age equals 33. So the form has been now submitted. Now, of course, if you had more fields, you could also submit them if they're not required fields. Now, if you notice this is very similar to how, remember I told you the get string works, like you do have a question mark, name equals this, and then ampersand, and then age equals this. So that's the same way. So that's how you submit using curl. Now, we're going to do the same thing now. We're going to do it in PHP. Remember this submit.php, which is empty. So we're going to go back to here, and we're going to go to this submit.php. Now I'm going to show you how you can do the same thing I've just done using PHP. So let me zoom in here a little bit so you guys can see a little better. Okay, so we need more PHP. So I'm going to submit now the same thing using just PHP. Of course, I have the curl, the libcurl extension for PHP is already built in. Okay, so what I do here, what is my URL? It's HTTP localhost port number 8000 / test.php. Okay. Next, the data I'm going to pass in going to put it in an array here. So the name. Okay, I'm going to use a different name. Let me say Eddie. Okay. And then comma, age. I'm going to use a different age this time. I think I'll say 44. Okay. All right. Then what we do is we create a curl variable. So be int initialize. And then what we do is we'll create some options for curl. So it's set opt variable there, and then the URL opt URL. There we go. Do the same thing again. And it's curl opt post. We set that to true. Curl set opt. This time it's going to be the post fields. Opt post fields. That's our data, which is in an array here. Then curl, the last option we're going to set here. Curl opt return transfer. Hope I spelled that right. And set that to true. Then we get the result after we execute. Okay, then if there's no result, we know something went wrong. Oops. If there's no result, something went wrong. So what we do here is we just die and we just output the error. So we say error. Curl error. Then I'm just pre-appending all this, all of them. So, oops, come on, single quote. So space code. Append curl the error code. So it's error basic error number. CH. There we go. And then we close curl close, and then I just say var dump result if there's something in the result. Okay, so now I could run this on the command line, but I'll show you how to do that as well. It's pretty straightforward. But if I'm using an IDE, which is NetBeans, so I can run this in NetBeans. It's you see here run, and it's F6. That's if it's a project. In this case, it's not a project. So you see there's a run file, which is Shift F6. So I can just click here. And the output is a little bit down here. I'm guessing you can't see. Oh, here it is. Go here. And then you see it says it's done. So it looks like there's another error, which we'll fix soon. It says it's not found. So did I make a mistake here? HTTP. Let's see here. I might have made a mistake. It is 8,000. 8044. That's weird. It didn't find it. Test.php. URL. HTTP localhost. I'm pretty sure it's the post is. Yeah, here it is. Form.php. Oh, okay. There we go. I made a mistake. It's form.php, not test. There we go. So let's now Shift F6. I run this again. You see, it says status. Okay. So I was able to run this, and you see it. So I know it was sent successfully. And so now you can imagine if I had a lot of data, obviously I could simply loop it. I could have my, maybe just create one huge array here, and then just loop through the array, and you just keep on sending, and then you just get the status. Okay. So that's one way to test it. And I said I prefer to use a scripting language like PHP. I said you can do this in Batch or another language like Python, as long as it has the libcro built in. You can do the same thing. So as I promised, you can run this on a command line as well. So for example, if some of you are following along this tutorial by using, if you're using, let me just make this down here so you can see everything here. If you guys are using, I guess it doesn't matter. If you guys are using a simple text editor, and you want to follow along with this as well. So if you want to run in the command line, I'll show you that next. So I'm done with NetBeans. I'll close NetBeans. So here on the command line, I'll clear this. If you see here, I have 3 files, and I'll prove it to you. So I put ls. You see I have the form.html, form.php, and submit.php. So all you have, if you're in a command line, you just run php and submit.php, and you see this is from the var dump. So it says status okay. Because remember, we set from the form.php, if everything is okay, it will send a JSON encoded, which is just status okay. So now I know that. So you're able to submit right from the command line using curl, and you can also submit obviously from an IDE or from the command line if you have some other scripting language. And I just showed you. So that's 2 ways you're able to submit a form. So we're done here. So let me close this. And to close this up as well, it's just a Control-C. And we can exit here. So that's done. So finish with this as well. Let's go back to here. And we can go back to here. So all the code snippets are also here. You can see here the HTML form, the form handler, how to start the PHP built-in web server, and how to submit using the command line, and then how to submit using PHP curl. And I said this is an optional cron job if you want to run a cron job to run this whatever you want. All right, so quick reminder that I do have a live stream every day. You simply go to ojambo.com, then you go to the watch menu here, live sub menu. You can see the current one, and it will give you the channel and approximate date and time. And then you can see the ones which are coming in the future. Also, be sure to subscribe, like, follow, and leave comments for more frequent content. If you enjoy this, you consider supporting me. Purchase one of my WordPress plugins at ojambo.com. Enroll my programming courses at ojamboshop.com. Buy my programming books on Amazon. Search for Ed Ojambo. Links in the description. You can hire me for your programming and app development needs at ojamboservices.com. And you can also become a donor at ojambo.com/donate. And I have the donate here link, and it's also up in the footer, in the header. I can see here there's a donate button icon just for your convenience. Okay, so I don't see any chat, so I'm going to end here, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you.